Welcome to another video on the Stoic channel. Today we begin a journey of self-discovery and inner growth. In this one-hour video, we will explore the vast and profound world of Stoicism, a philosophy that has inspired generations to find true happiness, wisdom, and inner peace. Throughout this journey, we will dive into different aspects of Stoic thought, from the timeless wisdom of Marcus Aurelius to practical principles capable of transforming our daily lives. We will uncover the secret to happiness through amor fati, the love of fate, learning how to embrace everything life places in our path. We will explore the dichotomy of control, a powerful mental tool that helps us make clear decisions and maintain serenity even in the midst of chaos. We will also identify 6 anti-Stoic habits that must be avoided if we want to preserve clarity, calm, and emotional balance. Beyond that, we will discover how to become masters of our own lives by adopting a Stoic routine that cultivates calmness and inner invincibility. You will learn how to apply the reflections of Marcus Aurelius to create full, productive days, while mastering the art of overcoming procrastination using Stoicism as your compass. So without further delay, let us begin this Stoic journey in search of a more meaningful and fulfilled life. In this fast-paced modern world, finding peace and purpose can feel difficult, but Stoicism offers an answer. Explore the wisdom and practicality of this ancient philosophy and learn how to design a daily routine that leads to balance, growth, and unmatched serenity. Stoicism is your ally on the path toward a more virtuous life. With figures such as Epictetus, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius as guides, this philosophy has withstood the test of time and remains deeply relevant, helping you become stronger, calmer, and truly satisfied with life. Are you ready to transform your life? Join us on this journey of self-discovery as we explore how to create a powerful morning and evening routine that moves you toward greatness. Wake up each morning with determination and intention. Reflect on the 4 cardinal virtues: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. These virtues serve as a moral compass, guiding you toward balanced, wise, and courageous decisions in every area of life. Gratitude will become one of your strongest allies. Embrace gratitude for all the blessings, experiences, and people that enrich your existence. You will discover how appreciation fills your life with joy and frees you from dissatisfaction. Prepare yourself for the day with a powerful mindset by practicing negative visualization, anticipating potential challenges so you can face them with calmness, adaptability, and wisdom. Bring Stoic discipline to life through writing. Keep a journal where you record your intentions, emotions, and reflections. This journal becomes a beacon of wisdom and guidance, reminding you of your path even during the most challenging moments. Be ready to face the world with Stoic grace. Learn to maintain focus and productivity in a world full of distractions. Practice justice and compassion in every interaction, opening your heart to a deeper understanding of the human experience. Face adversity with composure and perspective, remembering that you can only control what is within your power. Wisdom will guide you. As night arrives, it is time to recharge. Reflect on the events of the day, learning from your experiences and growing with each step. Accept imperfection and commit yourself to continuous improvement. Set your intentions for tomorrow and trace a bold and purposeful path forward, a future shaped by wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance awaits you. Become the architect of your own life, using Stoicism as your primary tool. Personalize your journey toward success by aligning it with your dreams, values, and daily commitments. Stoicism is flexible. Make it your own. Maintain passion for your Stoic practice and establish a routine that is consistent and sustainable. Stoicism offers a path of transformation and growth. Discover the power of bringing Stoic principles into every aspect of your life. Infuse wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance into your relationships, your work, and your personal projects. In a world of constant change and uncertainty, Stoicism will guide you toward balance, resilience, and inner peace. Move forward on the Stoic path with purpose and clarity. Advance with strength and conviction. Wisdom is almost always within reach, and each day is an opportunity to grow and learn. May clarity and serenity accompany you on your pursuit of a full and meaningful life. Practice gratitude and awaken each day with a heart filled with joy and abundance. With the 4 cardinal virtues illuminating your path, direct your attention to the many blessings already present in your life. You will discover that appreciation and gratitude dissolve every shadow of dissatisfaction and persistent desire. In this state of sincere gratitude, you will greet each day with a profound sense of fulfillment and happiness. By focusing on what truly matters, cultivate the habit of gratitude. Give thanks for everything that is good and practice gratitude continuously, because all things have contributed to your growth. Nothing is excluded from this process. Everything deserves a place in your gratitude. As Emerson wisely suggested, prepare yourself for the day through negative visualization. Imagine the possible challenges and setbacks that may arise, but do not be disturbed by them. You are prepared to face them with wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. By contemplating these scenarios and their possible outcomes, you develop a quiet resilience, one that allows you to adapt and grow in the face of adversity. This exercise enables you to move through the uncertainties of the day with calmness, without being shaken by the unpredictable turns of fate. Now it is time to place your reflections and insights onto paper. Keeping a journal is a powerful practice used by Stoics such as Seneca and Marcus Aurelius. Dedicate a few moments each morning to writing about your intentions, emotions, and observations. In doing so, you create a guiding light, a source of wisdom and warmth that will help you navigate the challenges of modern life. As we move through the ever-changing landscape of daily life, moments will arise that test our resolve. But do not worry, Stoicism offers an answer. Through Stoic strategies, you can maintain balance, cultivate resilience, and walk the path of life with grace and inner strength. When stress appears, remember that wisdom already lives within you. Seek refuge in reason and reflection. Focus your energy on what you can control and release what is beyond your power. In this way, you will respond to stress with composure, clarity, and resilience. The primary task of life is this: to identify and separate things clearly, to recognize what is external and beyond your control, and what lies within your choices and your will. Good and evil are not found in what is uncontrollable, but within yourself, in the decisions you make. Remember the words of Epictetus: on your path toward gratitude and resilience, Stoicism will guide you with its timeless wisdom. Awaken each day, knowing that every moment is an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to become stronger. Embrace life with purpose and clarity on the Stoic path toward a full and meaningful existence. Transform distractions into opportunities for productivity. In the turbulence of modern life, distractions constantly compete for your attention. But as a disciplined Stoic, you cultivate the virtue of temperance through self-control and moderation. When distractions arise, acknowledge them without resistance, then gently return your focus to the task at hand. This practice nurtures inner calm and allows you to harness the true power of your mind to achieve your goals. In your relationships with others, embody the Stoic virtues of justice, wisdom, and compassion. Every interaction is an opportunity to leave a positive and lasting impression. Be mindful of the impact your words and actions have on those around you. Through each encounter, learn, grow, and deepen your understanding of the human experience. Today, I will meet interference, ingratitude, arrogance, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness, all of them due to the offender's ignorance of what is good and evil. But for my part, I have long recognized the nature of good and its nobility, the nature of evil and its baseness, and the nature of the wrongdoer himself, who is my brother, not in blood, but as a fellow being endowed with reason and a share of the divine. Therefore, none of these things can harm me, for no one can involve me in what is degrading. Nor can I be angry with my brother or hate him, for we were born to work together, like two hands, 2 feet, or the upper and lower rows of teeth. To obstruct one another is against nature, and anger or aversion is itself a form of obstruction. Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius teaches us to embrace adversity and to flourish through resilience. On life's journey, we encounter unexpected challenges, moments of hardship that can either break us or strengthen us. As a courageous Stoic, view these trials as opportunities for growth, cultivate wisdom to meet adversity with grace, practice negative visualization, and trust the inner resilience you have developed along your path. In this way, you transform trials into valuable lessons, stepping stones toward personal growth and fulfillment. As you prepare for a night of reflection and wisdom, and the sun sets on the day, turn your attention inward. Reflect on the events of the day, identifying challenges, decisions, and lessons learned. As Seneca said, "I will keep constant watch over myself, and most useful of all, I will put each day up for review. For this is what makes us wicked, that none of us looks back upon our own lives. Forgive yourself and continue moving towards self-improvement. Practice self-forgiveness with compassion and understanding. Recognize that personal growth is a continuous process. Learn from your mistakes and commit yourself to becoming better. Nurture inner peace and self-acceptance as you continue evolving on your Stoic path. Finally, set your intentions for the new dawn ahead, carrying with you the wisdom gathered throughout the day. Set clear intentions for the following day. Incorporate the Stoic virtues into your actions, decisions, and interactions. By doing so, you create a blueprint for a harmonious and purposeful life, guided by the principles of Stoicism. Before surrendering to sleep, immerse yourself in a moment of deep relaxation. Practice calming techniques such as slow, deep breathing or meditative visualization. Quiet your mind and body, releasing the tensions accumulated throughout the day. In this way, you will drift into restorative sleep, prepared to welcome each new day as an opportunity to grow and learn. The world seems capable of offering us both the best and the worst. At times, we encounter joy, fulfillment, happiness, love, and health. Yet on many other occasions, we are faced with suffering, pain, loss, illness, and misfortune. Life, whether fair or unjust, often resembles a river whose course we cannot control. Whether we like it or not, we are frequently carried along by its current. As Epictetus said, "Do not fight against the threads of fate. Embrace them and love them, for only through acceptance can inner peace be found." Within Stoicism, this acceptance, this embrace of one's destiny, is known as amor fati, the love of fate. It means loving life itself, with all its joys and hardships, as the most perfect gift one could receive. This may sound simple in theory, yet incredibly difficult in practice. How could we possibly love suffering? How can we feel gratitude for the loss of loved ones? How can beauty be found in pain? At first glance, one might think the Stoics were misguided to develop a doctrine like amor fati, but nothing could be further from the truth. They knew exactly what they were teaching. For Stoics like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, loving existence in its entirety, light and shadow alike, was the greatest opportunity to cultivate virtue and attain true happiness. Marcus Aurelius wrote that we should love our fate, regardless of the form it takes, because only through accepting each moment can true serenity be achieved. Seneca added that amor fati means loving the totality of your existence, including your mistakes and failures, since they are opportunities to learn and grow in wisdom. Without a doubt, amor fati is one of the most challenging doctrines to practice within Stoicism. But difficult does not mean impossible. It simply means it requires effort. Remember that the most valuable things in life are often the hardest to achieve. A great portion of our happiness is at stake in amor fati, which makes it worthy of our full commitment and strength. In this video, my goal is to help you practice the doctrine of amor fati so that you may become more virtuous and more fulfilled. To do this, the video is divided into two parts. First, we will explore what destiny means to a Stoic and why it should be loved. Then, I will share 5 practical principles to help you apply this doctrine in daily life and persevere in it gradually. Before we begin, I would appreciate it if you could like the video. This helps spread Stoic philosophy to more people. If you don't want to miss future content, subscribe to the channel and activate notifications. I will also leave a link in the description to my other social platforms where I share additional Stoic and philosophical content. The ancient Stoics believed that chance did not exist. They held that everything in the universe operated according to necessary and rational laws established by the divine order itself. They understood the universe as a unified whole whose parts exist in perfect order and harmony. Nothing happens without reason. Everything has a purpose, a cause, and an explanation. In other words, all things follow a rational law. For the Stoics, this rational law that governs the universe also exists within the human being, within our consciousness. This inner rationality allows us to recognize what is virtuous and reasonable. Those who follow their conscience live in accordance with reason and virtue, while those who turn away from this universal law become irrational and drift away from virtue. The rational plan that the cosmos has established for each of us is what we call destiny. Our individual destiny is part of the greater harmony of the universe. Therefore, everything that happens to us, whether pleasant or painful, whether understood or beyond our comprehension, is necessary and meaningful. Everything follows a logic, even when that logic remains hidden from us. For this reason, even in our darkest moments, we must strive to see beyond ourselves, to accept the order that has been given to us, and to live with serenity. This is what it truly means to love one's destiny. However, it is crucial to distinguish between acceptance and resignation. Resignation is passive and negative. It implies refusing to act in the face of adversity. Acceptance, on the other hand, is active and constructive. It acknowledges reality as it is and guides our actions in response to what has happened. A Stoic avoids resignation and embraces acceptance. And within acceptance, the Stoic dichotomy of control becomes essential. Most events in the universe, health or illness, disasters or miracles, life or death, are beyond our control. We cannot change them, and therefore our heart should not be disturbed by them. What is under our control is our judgment about what happens and the will with which we respond. As Epictetus wisely stated, the will can govern itself, and nothing else can govern it. We possess the great power of choice. We can choose what we do and how we respond to the circumstances imposed upon us. We may choose to flee from our own destiny, or we may choose to accept it and face it as the path assigned to us, the very path on which we must seek our happiness. This is the essence of Stoic freedom, choosing to accept our fate and align our will with virtue and the good, or choosing to reject reality and pursue vice and moral decay. The essence of good and evil lies in the attitude of the will, says Epictetus. Marcus Aurelius would add that truly harmful things, such as vice and moral corruption, were placed in human hands by the gods so that we may avoid them, if we choose. In any situation, no matter what it may be, it is always within our power to respond by seeking good or by falling into evil. For example, if we fall ill, we can strive to recover and live as well as possible despite our condition, or we can surrender to despair, become irrational, neglect ourselves, and grow resentful toward everything and everyone. If we choose virtue and goodness and align ourselves with our conscience, then everything that happens in our lives, whether pleasant or painful, will enrich our existence and make us better human beings. In this way, we become masters of the 4 Stoic virtues. Good moments will bring us joy, though we must remember they are not eternal. Recall the teaching of temperance. This too shall pass. Difficult moments will test us and strengthen us. Though painful, they shape us into wiser and more resilient individuals. Remember that these hardships will also pass, and that they are just as necessary, if not more so, than moments of comfort. To practice amor fati, we must also cultivate the virtue of courage. We need courage to face the storms that surprise and overwhelm us. Those who truly embrace amor fati will naturally practice justice and wisdom as well. They will learn to give each moment what it deserves and, above all, come to understand the rational law that governs the universe. The law that makes our individual destiny the greatest gift we possess on our journey toward a fulfilled life and genuine happiness. As you have seen, the doctrine of amor fati activates all 4 Stoic virtues and invites us to give our very best. It calls us to love our destiny and to understand that our own life, exactly as it is the most beautiful and meaningful opportunity we have to strive for virtue and fulfillment. Would a life without struggle, without effort toward happiness, truly be worth living? Is it not also true that there is no happiness without sacrifice and commitment? Without accepting what has been given to us, we cannot find peace. We must love our destiny and align our will with reason, for this is the path toward true and lasting happiness. To conclude this section, I would like to share a few timeless reflections on amor fati. Seneca tells us that fate leads those who accept it and drags those who resist it. He also reminds us that no one is more unfortunate than the person untouched by adversity, for they are never tested. Marcus Aurelius writes that it is natural for a human being to love and seek what destiny has assigned and prepared for them. Epictetus adds that we should not demand events unfold as we wish, but rather wish for events to happen as they do, and then life will go well. What do you think about the Stoic doctrine of amor fati? Are you at peace with your destiny? Is there any circumstance in your life that you still struggle to accept? Or is there something you have embraced exactly as it unfolded? I would love to read your thoughts in the comments. A person becomes free when they recognize the chains that bind them, because only then can they consciously break them. In the fast-paced and ever-changing world we live in, we often allow ourselves to be carried away by habits that are not only unproductive, but destructive. The Stoics emphasized the importance of focusing on what we can control, freeing ourselves from the chains of uncontrolled emotions, impulsive behavior, and excess desire. Today, I want to share with you 6 destructive habits I myself once struggled with, and which are extremely common in modern life. These behaviors can block our inner peace, limit personal growth, and prevent us from living a virtuous life. Before we explore them, I ask you to adopt a position of self-observation, to look at yourself as if from a third-person perspective. This will allow you to identify which of these habits may be affecting you, so you can take full responsibility for overcoming them. The first habit is procrastination. This is a subtle and deceptive habit that almost all of us adopt at some point. Although it may seem harmless, its consequences are serious. Procrastination means postponing something that could or should be done now. This leads to a loss of time and mental energy as we constantly think about what needs to be done without taking action. Stoicism teaches us that procrastination can lead to neglecting our personal and professional responsibilities. Over time, it damages the quality of our work, our reputation, and the trust others place in us. By valuing integrity and the fulfillment of our duties, the Stoics viewed procrastination as one of the greatest forms of self-disrespect a person can commit. Delaying important tasks leads to increased stress and anxiety as responsibilities pile up and deadlines draw closer. This constant tension harms both mental and physical health, distances us from clarity of thought, and moves us away from a calm and balanced mind. Imagine you have an important project with a strict deadline. Instead of breaking the work into manageable parts and progressing steadily, You delay everything until the last moment. Pressure builds, stress takes over, and you find yourself overwhelmed, struggling to meet the deadline. Planning your work and honoring your responsibilities is an act of kindness toward yourself. It is far more effective to spread effort across several days than to compress everything into one exhausting rush. The habit of postponing commitments is destructive. It contradicts Stoic principles, leads to wasted time, unmet obligations, and heightened stress and anxiety. We can overcome this habit by practicing planning, self-discipline, and a clear focus on our responsibilities and values. To help avoid this, I recommend never making promises while under strong emotion, especially when feeling euphoric. Decisions made in emotional peaks are often driven by impulse rather than clear reasoning. Before committing to anything, reflect carefully and do so in moments of calm. Avoid impulsive decisions, even when happiness makes everything seem easy. The second destructive habit is lying. Lying is widely accepted in modern society, yet it is deeply corrosive. The liar becomes a prisoner of their own fears, and sooner or later, those fears catch up with them. Lying undermines truth and integrity, values the Stoics considered pillars of a virtuous life. When we lie, we distance ourselves from these ideals and damage our own character. Moreover, lying erodes relationships and destroys trust. Once a lie is exposed, regaining lost trust is extremely difficult. Trust and mutual respect were essential for the Stoics in building healthy and meaningful relationships. Lies create a false reality that traps us in a maze of deception, leading to an exhausting and ever-expanding cycle of dishonesty. This generates unnecessary stress and anxiety. For example, imagine seeing a sensational piece of news on social media and sharing it immediately without verifying the source or accuracy. Later, you discover the information was false. You feel embarrassed and misled, and worse, you may have influenced others negatively by spreading misinformation. Believing everything we hear is a destructive habit that weakens critical thinking and leaves us vulnerable to manipulation. It is essential to verify information, compare sources, and above all, develop independent judgment. A person without discernment or the ability to reach their own conclusions becomes easily controlled by the modern world and exploited by others. The fourth destructive habit is poor communication skills. Effective communication is essential in both personal and professional relationships. Yet it seems we have lost appreciation for clear language and meaningful dialogue. This is reflected in the shallow conversations of today, where people show little interest in one another and rarely listen with genuine attention. A lack of communication skills leads to misunderstandings and conflict. The Stoics recognized the importance of harmony and cooperation in human relationships, and poor communication threatens these values. If we cannot express our needs and emotions clearly, frustration, dissatisfaction, and resentment inevitably follow. The Stoics valued authenticity and honest self-expression, essential elements of meaningful conversation. We are naturally inclined to connect and communicate effectively. Conversations should be exchanges of value, not empty noise. Speaking with another person should enrich both sides. The inability to communicate well is a destructive habit that leads to misunderstandings, conflict, and emotional distance. To improve, I recommend expanding your communication skills and vocabulary by reading and consuming high-quality content. Practicing active listening has benefited me greatly. Instead of focusing on how you will respond, fully engage with the conversation and pay close attention to what the other person is saying. This creates natural flow, strengthens understanding, and makes the other person feel truly valued. Clear, thoughtful communication is not just a skill, it is an expression of justice, respect, and wisdom in action. I know you are highly competitive. Even if it isn't intentional, there is a part of you that wants to outperform others. But this recurring habit can quietly erode self-esteem and satisfaction with life. constant comparison leads to dissatisfaction and unhappiness because there will always be someone who appears more successful, wealthier, or more talented. The Stoics teach us to focus on our own development and to appreciate what we already have, instead of endlessly measuring ourselves against others. When we constantly compare ourselves to others, we risk losing our identity and authenticity. We may begin changing who we are in order to fit external standards or expectations. Remember, this is never sustainable in the long run. You can pretend for a while, but eventually you will return to who you truly are. Stoicism encourages us to remain faithful to ourselves and to live according to our own values and principles. Imagine always comparing yourself to your co-workers, feeling that you are never good enough and that you must constantly push harder just to keep up. This relentless pressure leads to burnout, dissatisfaction, and unhappiness, pulling you further away from your true self. Constant comparison is a destructive habit that disconnects you from your identity. This changes when you realize there is no value in watching others so closely, because everything you truly need is already within your own life. If what you seek cannot be found within, no external comparison will provide it. Comparison is ultimately pointless because you can never have everything. You will be far happier when your main goal becomes improving compared to who you were yesterday, competing only with yourself. The sixth destructive habit is blaming external forces for your life. In modern society, it is common to see people searching for external culprits instead of taking personal responsibility. This mindset strips away autonomy and control, because when we blame others for our circumstances, we surrender ownership of our lives. The Stoics emphasize the importance of understanding what lies within our control and what does not. Blaming others pulls us away from this clarity. This habit fosters a victim mentality and emotional dependency, making us reliant on others for stability and validation. When we seek external scapegoats, we lose the opportunity to learn from our mistakes and to grow. We abandon personal responsibility. The Stoics remind us to recognize and accept what is within our power and to fully assume responsibility for it, avoiding the trap of blaming others for our circumstances. As individuals committed to personal value and virtue, we are called to become aware of these behaviors and actively work to overcome them. Living a life guided by wisdom, virtue, and inner tranquility requires honest self-examination. I invite you to reflect on these habits in your own life and to be genuinely self-critical. Remember, only the person who recognizes the chains binding them can truly break free. From this point forward, you are the one who builds your own path. Moral evolution does not mean erasing ancient principles entirely, but rather examining them critically, deciding which remain, which should be discarded, and which new principles deserve a place in our ethical code. Part of my own moral framework, as well as yours, carries influences from Judeo-Christian ethics. I recognize forgiveness and practice it. I treat others as I wish to be treated. I do not covet what belongs to others, and I express deep gratitude for the good things life offers me. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. In the city of Cyprus, around 300 BC, there lived a very wealthy merchant named Zeno. While traveling from Phoenicia to Piraeus, his ship sank along with all of its cargo. Because of this single event, completely beyond his control, a man of great wealth was suddenly reduced to poverty. Imagine that you were Zeno. How would you react if the work of your entire life were lost to the forces of nature? What would be the appropriate response? Anger, a sense of betrayal by life? For most of us, these reactions would be natural, but not for Zeno, the founder of Stoicism. A small change can last an eternity, and a small shift in mindset can produce profound and lasting transformation. The essence of Stoicism lies in acceptance and rational indifference. After studying the works of Socrates and other great philosophers, Zeno developed and taught Stoicism. According to Zeno, while we have little control over what happens to us, we have control over how it affects us. and we must use that control wisely. Instead of lamenting spilled milk, or in this case sunken goods, Zeno focused on maintaining composure in the face of misfortune, remaining calm and dignified amid adversity. Today, Stoics are often misunderstood as emotionless or unshakable individuals, incapable of anger or anxiety. But the original Stoicism was far deeper than emotional suppression. It was not about lacking emotion, it was about understanding reality. Stoicism was a way of seeing, interpreting, and engaging with the world. It was a philosophy of life that endured for centuries. And just as it was applied thousands of years ago, Stoic philosophy can still be applied today, with benefits that are just as powerful and transformative. Stoicism allows us to process negative emotions and adverse experiences, transforming them into thoughts that offer us a clearer and more empowering perspective on the world. Perspective is everything. Every person on this planet has lived through different experiences and therefore sees reality through a unique lens. Just as the ancient Stoics gathered in public spaces to discuss and teach philosophy, their ideas were widely accessible. They believed Stoic principles could benefit everyone, from slaves to emperors. Some of the most notable Stoics in history include Epictetus, a formerly enslaved man, Seneca, a renowned statesman, and Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor and one of the most powerful individuals to ever live. The earliest Stoics practiced what they preached. They rejected segregation and actively opposed inequality. In fact, they coined the word cosmopolitan, meaning citizen of the world. At the time Stoicism emerged, women were largely excluded from philosophical study, but the Stoics strongly opposed this. Musonius Rufus, the teacher of Epictetus, once said that not only men possess a natural inclination toward virtue, but women as well. Women, he argued, delight no less than men in noble and just actions and reject their opposites. So why do so many people adopt Stoicism as a way of life? In a world filled with unexpected events, our emotions often disrupt our path. We are not upset simply because bad things happen, but because they happen unexpectedly. Rain, for example, is objectively beneficial. It nourishes plants, provides water for animals, and cools the environment. Yet, when we are caught in a sudden downpour without an umbrella, it becomes unpleasant. Why don't we cry every time it rains? Because we understand that rain is inevitable. We cannot control the weather. Eventually the storm passes and the light returns. Stoicism teaches us to expect difficulties in the same way. One Stoic exercise designed to build resilience and gratitude is voluntary discomfort. This might include sleeping on the floor, taking cold showers instead of hot ones, or eating very simple meals for a few days. Such practices remind us that no matter how uncomfortable life becomes, we can endure and even grow if our mindset is aligned correctly. By learning to tolerate discomfort, we prepare ourselves mentally for future hardships. In today's world, where advertising constantly tells us that happiness depends on having the best appearance, the most money, or the highest status, the Stoic message is more important than ever. We are born knowing very little. We grow by learning at home, at school, and through our own observations of the world. The problem is that these sources often teach us conflicting values. When we internalize them without reflection, we may form unrealistic expectations about life, expectations that eventually leave us disappointed and unfulfilled. This is not a healthy way to live. We should focus on improving ourselves for our own sake. When we attach external expectations or outcomes to our actions, disappointment is almost inevitable. Too often we try to fill an inner void with external things, expensive cars, large houses, status, or even relationships, not for their intrinsic value, but for how they appear to others. Stoicism teaches the opposite. Success should be measured by the effort we invest, not by outcomes driven by external hope or validation. We must trust the process. Living with less means loosening the social chains we unknowingly bind ourselves with. This is the Stoic path to resolving our struggles with happiness. By redefining self-worth around what we can control, we stop obsessing over what we cannot. As a result, we live more peacefully, more meaningfully, and with greater satisfaction. Stoicism helps us navigate past and present storms, guiding us toward calmer and more stable waters. Stoic philosophy flourished in many different eras, yet its truths have endured for centuries. Today, its lessons resonate deeply, offering strength and guidance for the challenges of modern life. Ancient philosophy also teaches us emotional resilience and acceptance. Through the words of Stoic and even Buddhist thinkers, we learn how to find peace and serenity even in turbulent times. Stoics such as Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius believed that true happiness was not found in avoiding hardship, but in cultivating virtue and self-mastery despite adversity. They emphasized the importance of distinguishing between what is within our control, our attitudes, choices, and values, and what is not, such as external events and the behavior of others. By focusing solely on what we can control and accepting what we cannot, we unlock a lasting and unshakable inner peace. The search for purpose and meaning is a constant in human life. As we explore the works of existentialist philosophers such as Sartre and Nietzsche, we discover how to forge an authentic path aligned with our deepest values. Stoicism, in turn, reminds us of the importance of relationships and community. By studying thinkers like Aristotle, we are guided toward building genuine connections and nurturing bonds that enrich our journey. Although the Stoics focused on cultivating virtue and personal self-mastery, they never advocated isolation or indifference toward others. On the contrary, they believed that interpersonal relationships and life within a community were essential to achieving virtue and true happiness. Seneca, for example, wrote extensively about friendship and the importance of cultivating sincere and meaningful relationships. He argued that friendship is one of life's greatest goods and that we should choose friends who share similar values and aspirations. He also emphasized the duty of being useful to others and contributing positively to society. In this way, both Stoicism and other philosophical traditions recognize the importance of building healthy communities in the pursuit of a full and meaningful life. They encourage us to cultivate authentic connections that foster moral and spiritual growth, enriching our personal journey. Our journey here comes to an end, but the journey toward an unbreakable modern life is only beginning. By incorporating the ancient wisdom of philosophy into your daily existence, you become better equipped to face challenges and to live with authenticity, purpose, and inner strength. Join us in this pursuit of excellence and transcendence. Subscribe, share, and begin the journey toward becoming truly unshakable, using Stoic philosophy to live a modern life of fulfillment and realization. In this next reflection, I want to talk to you about something that, unfortunately, happens to most of us in the morning. When we wake up, many of us feel little motivation to go to work or to school. We spend our days waiting for the moment we can return home and relax until the next day, or constantly thinking about the weekend and longing for its arrival. Hating Mondays has become normal as we anticipate a long week filled with work and responsibility. This unpleasant feeling leads many people to live in a constant state of demotivation, with little desire to do anything. Over time, this pattern can result in deep dissatisfaction or even depression. Stoicism addresses this issue directly, and Marcus Aurelius explored it profoundly in his Meditations. Marcus Aurelius was a Roman emperor who ruled from 161 to 180 AD. As emperor of the Roman Empire, he was the most powerful man in the world during his reign, yet he kept a personal journal in which he recorded his daily reflections. Many years after his death, these writings were published as Meditations. Marcus Aurelius wrote the following: "At dawn, when you find it hard to get out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work. As a human being, What do I have to complain of if I am going to do what I was born for? Or was I created to stay under the blankets and keep warm? After this reflection, Marcus Aurelius continues his internal dialogue. But it is more pleasant to stay in bed. And he responds to himself, were you born for pleasure? Do you not see the plants, the birds, the ants, the spiders, and the bees, all performing their individual tasks, putting the world in order as best they can? And you are unwilling to do what your nature requires of you as a human being? He goes on to explain that while sleep is necessary, nature has placed limits on it, just as it has with eating and drinking, and for most of us, those limits have already been met. He concludes by saying that we do not love ourselves enough, because if we did, we would also love our own nature and what it demands of us. Those who truly love what they do become deeply devoted to it. They sometimes forget to eat or wash, so absorbed are they in their craft. They show greater respect for their own nature than a sculptor does for his sculpture, a dancer for their dance, or a miser for money. When fully immersed in meaningful work, they would rather skip food and sleep than abandon the practice of their art. When Marcus Aurelius speaks of work, he is not referring only to professional labor, but to the actions a human being must perform each day simply by virtue of being human. Through this reflection, we are encouraged to take responsibility for our time and our actions. Imagine if Marcus Aurelius had not lived according to these principles. He likely would not be remembered today as one of the 5 good emperors of the Roman Empire. As emperor, Marcus Aurelius was responsible for leading the government. He could not abandon his duties because the well-being of the entire Roman Empire depended on him. This same principle applies to our own lives. We were not born to live like immobile plants, free of responsibility. We are human beings, and we must act accordingly. Do not allow the temptation of momentary pleasure to cloud your judgment. There is no feeling greater than knowing you acted correctly and responsibly. Nothing compares to the satisfaction of a duty fulfilled. You must rise. You must begin your work. Do not abandon your responsibilities. The moment is now, because you do not know how much time you have. Marcus Aurelius wrote these reminders in his personal journal, so he would never forget them. We should do the same. When in the morning you feel unwilling to get up, when you resist your responsibilities, when you spend your days longing for the weekend or suffering simply because it is Monday, remember the words of Marcus Aurelius. Do you agree with his reflection? Do you have any personal strategies to overcome this kind of negative thinking? I would love to read your thoughts in the comments. To help you start your day with clarity and strength, here are 10 Stoic quotes to guide your mindset. The only path to happiness is to stop worrying about things beyond the power of our will. Begin the day, remembering that inner strength is more valuable than anything external. Seneca, we are not disturbed by things, but by the views we take of them. Epictetus, another person's prosperity is not my misfortune. Marcus Aurelius, the secret of happiness is freedom. The secret of freedom is courage. Seneca, do not seek for events to happen as you wish, but wish for them to happen as they do, and your life will go well. Epictetus, what troubles us is not events, but our opinions about them. Epictetus, life is short, and the only proper time to seek happiness is the present. Seneca, what matters is not what happens to you, but how you respond to it. Epictetus, wake up with determination. Go to bed with satisfaction. Unknown, a sentiment shared by the Stoics. These quotes serve as powerful reminders of Stoic principles and can guide your thoughts and behavior throughout the day. If you are watching this video, there is a strong chance that procrastination is a major struggle in your life. In my own case, many of my problems were rooted in procrastination. When you stop doing what must be done and continually delay action, problems begin to multiply, productivity declines, anxiety takes hold. You begin avoiding responsibility, and worst of all, a constant sense of guilt appears, the feeling that you are not living as you should. The Stoics were deeply concerned with procrastination. We see this clearly in the lives of philosophers such as Seneca and Marcus Aurelius, who carried immense responsibilities and could not afford to delay action. Overcoming procrastination is not simple because human beings naturally seek immediate pleasure rather than effort. Although I have discussed this topic in greater depth in my video on discipline, which I highly recommend watching after this one, discipline and the elimination of procrastination are inseparable. One reinforces the other. If you are here, it is because you want to change, you want to become productive, you want to take ownership of your mind and your actions. Overcoming procrastination will also make you happier because acting responsibly brings inner peace. It is astonishing to realize that Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, had the same 24 hours in a day as you and I do. Yet in that time, he governed the most powerful empire of the ancient world, wrote philosophy, cared for his family, enacted laws, presided over trials, led armies, and guided the Roman people through a devastating plague, all while remaining just and avoiding the vices that consumed many other emperors. The key to Marcus Aurelius's success was routine. He built habits that allowed him to defeat laziness and avoid procrastination. In the end, the key to not procrastinating is having a structured routine. Marcus Aurelius transformed all his responsibilities into fundamental parts of his life. Just as eating, washing, and sleeping were essential, so too were his duties. He reached a point where fulfilling his responsibilities became indispensable, something he could not live without. All Stoics understood, as Aristotle taught, that we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, therefore, is not an act, but a habit. For Marcus Aurelius, the day began early, at dawn. When he woke, he understood that he was rising to do the work of a human being. There was no time to remain in bed. He began his day by writing in his personal journal, dedicating a few quiet moments to organizing his thoughts, clarifying his priorities, and reminding himself of what truly mattered. After that, he prepared himself to face both his responsibilities and the people around him. He would remind himself, "The people you will meet today may be rude, ungrateful, selfish, or irritating. They may try to frustrate you." Marcus Aurelius knew he could not allow others to disturb his judgment or steal his inner peace. He was clear about one thing. He had a duty to act according to what he believed was right, regardless of how others behaved. Once mentally prepared, he began with his most important responsibilities. He chose to tackle them first, while his mind was rested, alert, and fully capable. He focused completely on the task in front of him, approaching it with the seriousness and discipline of a Roman, treating each duty as if it were the most important thing he could possibly be doing at that moment. As his meditations reveal, his routine left no room for procrastination. At this point, you may be wondering, how can I act like Marcus Aurelius and overcome procrastination? How can I prepare my mind, and what practical strategies can I follow? Below, I will share 7 techniques that personally help me stop procrastinating. I've divided them into 2 sections. The first focuses on preparing the mind. The second focuses on concrete actions. Part 1, preparing the mind. 1. Shift your focus. Procrastination is largely a problem of the modern world. We procrastinate because we can afford to. We have comfort, safety, and distractions. To counter this, we must increase our sense of urgency. When we procrastinate, we often wait until the final deadline to act, and strangely, when the last day arrives, laziness disappears. We become productive. We do what must be done. This happens because urgency finally enters the picture. By creating our own deadlines, even earlier than necessary, we can recreate that urgency. This makes action more likely. You can even involve a friend or family member and set a clear consequence if you fail to meet your deadline. Accountability changes behavior. 2. Eliminate low-value distractions. When we procrastinate, we usually replace meaningful work with low-value distractions. These activities add nothing to our lives. Worse, we don't even enjoy them fully because deep down, we know we should be doing something else. As a result, we gain nothing from the distraction and still feel guilty afterward. The solution is simple but difficult. Work first, enjoy later, earn your rest. 3. Reorganize your responsibilities. Some tasks feel overwhelming because they are large, complex, or time-consuming. This feeling alone can trigger procrastination. Let me ask you something. Can you work for 5 hours straight without getting distracted? Probably not. But can you work for 1 hour? More likely. Can you work for 5 minutes? Everyone can. This is the key. Break large or difficult tasks into smaller, manageable pieces. Treat each piece as its own short, achievable task. When responsibilities feel smaller, they feel less intimidating, and action becomes easier. Part 2. Taking action. 4. Take the first step. Every procrastinator knows this truth. The hardest part is starting. Once you begin, the most difficult barrier is already behind you. Force yourself to start. Do not think about how long the task will take. Do not think about finishing. Do not think about how hard it will be. Focus only on the very first step. That first step is the most important. It creates momentum. And once you move forward, the second, third, and fourth steps follow more naturally. Ironically, procrastinators often work intensely once they begin, because they know how painful it is to stop and restart. 5. The 5-second rule. Closely related to starting is a technique I use regularly, the 5-second rule. When you feel resistance, count down from 5 to 0, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, then act immediately. The purpose is to bypass overthinking. Do not analyze. Do not negotiate with yourself. Just start. Personally, this technique has helped me countless times, especially when facing tasks I dislike. 6. The Pomodoro technique. The Pomodoro technique helps divide work into manageable time blocks, making tasks feel less overwhelming. Thinking about 5 straight hours of work can be paralyzing. But thinking about 25 minutes? That feels doable. The method is simple. Work for 25 minutes with full focus. Take a 5-minute break that equals 1 Pomodoro. After 4 Pomodoros, take a longer break of about 20 minutes, then repeat the cycle. Everyone can focus for 25 minutes. By completing 4 Pomodoros, you work for 1 hour and 40 minutes with near total concentration, followed by meaningful rest. Facing small blocks of focused effort is far easier than confronting a massive, undefined workload, and that difference alone can be enough to defeat procrastination. Remove distractions. Our brain is always searching for the easiest path. If your phone is within reach of your workspace, if there is a video game nearby, or anything else that can pull your attention away, remove it. Design an environment where procrastination becomes difficult, where the only realistic option is to finish the task at hand. Start by identifying what usually prevents you from working, then eliminate those distractions from your workspace. Make procrastination inconvenient. When temptation is removed, discipline becomes much easier. Did you like these tips for avoiding procrastination? Do you use any other strategies? I'd love to read your thoughts in the comments. Remember, discipline is essential to applying all these techniques effectively. Without discipline and a genuine desire to change, nothing truly changes. Welcome to another video on the Stoic channel. Today, we explore a fascinating topic deeply rooted in Stoic philosophy: solitude. The Stoics viewed solitude as a powerful tool for self-discovery and personal growth. In this video, we will explore 10 benefits of solitude from a Stoic perspective and how you can apply them to modern life. Don't forget to subscribe and activate notifications for more philosophical content. And feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. Stoicism and solitude. As part of this exploration of Stoic philosophy, we begin with a fundamental theme: solitude. Before examining its benefits, it's important to understand how solitude fits into the Stoic way of life, the Stoic appreciation of solitude. At the heart of Stoicism lies a deep respect for solitude. Contrary to how modern society often sees it, the Stoics did not consider solitude a source of sadness. On the contrary, they saw it as a valuable space for introspection, self-knowledge, and moral growth. In a noisy world filled with distractions, solitude was viewed as a wise teacher. It offers moments of calm and intentional isolation where we can face our true emotions, desires, and values without the masks we wear in society. The pursuit of self-sufficiency. The Stoics embraced inner independence and emotional self-control. Solitude was one of the primary ways to cultivate this self-sufficiency. When we are alone, we are no longer dependent on the opinions or expectations of others to feel peace or fulfillment. Solitude helps us develop inner strength, strength that remains stable regardless of external changes or social pressures. 1. Deep self-knowledge. A central theme in Stoic philosophy is profound self-understanding. Solitude provides a safe space to look inward, to explore the hidden corners of the mind and heart that we rarely examine. Imagine solitude as a mirror that quietly reflects your true self. In that silence, you can observe your emotional reactions, fears, aspirations, and doubts without judgment. There are no external expectations, no need to perform, no pretenses. Self-awareness, as independence for the Stoics, deep self-knowledge was essential to achieving inner freedom. When we understand who we truly are, we stop seeking validation from others and begin to find it within ourselves. This inner independence brings lasting peace because we are no longer shaken by the constantly shifting opinions of the external world. Practicing inner dialogue. One powerful aspect of self-awareness is internal dialogue. Imagine sitting alone, engaging with yourself as a thoughtful and compassionate companion, reflecting honestly on your choices, desires, and mistakes. This sincere inner conversation allows us to understand ourselves more deeply and make decisions that align with our true values and nature. 2. The development of autarky. Now we turn to a concept that deeply resonated with the ancient Stoics. Autarky, or self-sufficiency. Have you ever wondered how to achieve inner peace without relying on external circumstances? The Stoic answer lies in solitude and independence. The power of inner self-sufficiency, autarky, is a foundational Stoic principle. The Stoics believed in cultivating an inner strength that could not be disturbed by the ups and downs of the external world. Solitude plays a crucial role in this process. By stepping away from constant stimulation and social noise, we reduce external influence and turn our attention inward. This allows us to strengthen our character, clarify our values, and regain control over our inner life. Through solitude, we learn that peace does not come from outside, it is built from within. Independence can be understood as an inner armor, one that shields us from external influences. When we are constantly surrounded by other people's opinions, expectations, and judgments, inner peace becomes a daily struggle. Solitude allows us to step away from that noise and begin trusting our own judgment, clarity, and inner wisdom. The opportunity for self-mastery. The Stoics believed that one of the greatest results of self-sufficiency was self-control. When we are alone, we are forced to confront our own emotional reactions and impulses. In that space, we learn to observe them without immediately giving in. This discipline allows us to act consciously and ethically, instead of reacting automatically to circumstances. Learning to live with less. In a world obsessed with accumulation and consumption, self-sufficiency teaches us how to live with less. The Stoics valued simplicity and moderation. Solitude gives us the chance to reconnect with what is essential and to stop depending on material possessions for satisfaction. True wealth, they believed, is found within, not in external objects. Facing emotions. Now we arrive at a subject that touches everyone deeply: how to deal with emotions wisely and calmly from a Stoic perspective. Solitude can be a powerful ally in this process. Understanding emotions. Emotions are like ocean waves, sometimes calm, sometimes violent. The Stoics accepted emotions as part of the human experience, but they warned against becoming slaves to them. Solitude offers a safe environment to explore our emotions without judgment or external pressure. Detached observation. Think of solitude as an inner laboratory. When we are alone, we can observe our emotions objectively. Instead of being dragged along by them, we learn to see them as clouds passing across the sky. This distance allows us to respond intelligently rather than impulsively. Stoic techniques. The Stoics developed powerful methods for emotional regulation. One of them is negative visualization, where we imagine difficult situations and mentally rehearse calm, rational responses. Another is meditation on mortality, which places our worries in perspective and helps us live the present moment with gratitude. They believed emotions could be transformed into virtues, fear into courage, anger into discipline, sorrow into resilience. Solitude provides the space needed to understand our emotions, identify their origins, and channel their energy toward virtuous action. Clarity in decision-making. Have you ever felt overwhelmed by the decisions you needed to make? Solitude can serve as a reliable guide in moments like these, life's crossroads. Decisions surround us constantly, and the noise of external opinions often clouds our judgment. Solitude creates a space of silence and reflection, allowing us to evaluate our options with calmness, clarity, and alignment with our values. Solitude as refuge. Imagine solitude as a shelter during a storm. In difficult moments, withdrawing from external voices helps us regain inner stability. In this protected space, we can regulate our emotions, reflect deeply, and gather the strength needed to act with courage and conviction. The Stoic view of adversity. For the Stoics, adversity was not a punishment, but an opportunity to strengthen the soul. In solitude, we can ask ourselves, what can I learn from this situation? How can this challenge make me better? Solitude allows adversity to become a training ground for virtues such as patience, discipline, and resilience. Mental training. Just as an athlete trains the body, we can train the mind in solitude. The Stoics practiced preparation for hardship, imagining future obstacles and rehearsing calm, composed responses. This mental training prepares us to face difficulties proactively rather than reactively. Appreciation of simple things. Finally, we arrive at a theme deeply connected to contentment, simplicity. The constant pursuit of more often distances us from happiness. Solitude helps us rediscover joy in what is simple. In a society driven by consumption and endless stimulation, the Stoics remind us of the beauty of simplicity. Solitude invites us to slow down, silence the noise, and notice small pleasures that are usually ignored. In this quiet and simple space, true contentment begins to grow. It invites us to enjoy everyday moments and to find satisfaction in what we already have. For the Stoics, joy was not dependent on excess, but on alignment with nature and reason. Solitude helps us cultivate this virtue by allowing us to examine our relationship with the constant desire for more. When we are alone, we can ask ourselves whether our desires are truly ours, or if we are simply caught in an endless cycle of wanting. The Stoic focus on gratitude. Gratitude stands as a central pillar of Stoic philosophy. In solitude, we can consciously practice gratitude by reflecting on the blessings already present in our lives, our health, relationships, shelter, and the quiet beauty that surrounds us. This practice grounds us in the present moment, teaching us to find happiness now rather than postponing it to some imagined future. Encouraging inner dialogue. Now we turn to a theme that invites us to dive deeply into the mind. Inner dialogue. Have you ever wished you could speak honestly with yourself? Solitude creates the space where that becomes possible. The art of self-conversation. Talking to yourself is like having a wise and compassionate companion within your own mind. In solitude, we engage in sincere conversations with ourselves, uncovering our thoughts, desires, fears, and values. It is a safe environment, free from judgment, where reflection can unfold calmly and honestly. Space for deep contemplation. Imagine solitude as a reflective studio where the deepest questions of your existence can surface. When we are alone, we can examine our decisions, goals, and direction in life. Inner dialogue allows us to question assumptions, challenge beliefs, and explore new perspectives. The power of deep questions. The Stoics believed strongly in the power of reflective questioning. In solitude, we can ask questions that awaken inner wisdom. What truly matters to me? What qualities do I want to cultivate? How can I live in harmony with nature? These questions guide us toward clarity and self-understanding, transforming reflection into purposeful action. From reflection to action, inner dialogue is not limited to thought, it leads to action. Solitude allows us to plan how to apply our insights in daily life, turning wisdom into practice. Through this process, we set meaningful goals and make decisions aligned with our deepest values, connection with nature and the universe. Now we approach a theme that connects us to something far greater than ourselves, our relationship with nature and the cosmos. When we look up at the stars, we are reminded that we are part of a vast and ordered universe. This awareness invites humility and perspective, encouraging us to reflect on our place within the greater whole. Nature as a mirror. Think of solitude as a bridge between the mind and the natural world. When we are alone, we can walk through forests, contemplate the ocean, or simply watch the sunrise. Nature reflects Stoic virtues such as balance, resilience, and harmony, offering silent lessons to those willing to observe. Triviality and perspective. The Stoics believed that many human concerns are insignificant when viewed against the immensity of the cosmos. Solitude helps us recognize how personal anxieties and ambitions shrink in the face of the universe, allowing us to focus on what truly matters and let go of unnecessary attachments. Cultivating virtue and inner peace. We now arrive at the core of Stoicism, the cultivation of virtue and inner peace. Have you ever wished to live wisely and calmly despite life's trials? Solitude can guide you along this noble path. Virtue as the highest goal. For the Stoics, virtue was the ultimate aim of life. Imagine virtue as a guiding light that shapes your actions and decisions. In solitude, you can reflect on how to live virtuously in different circumstances, strengthening your moral character. Inner tranquility. Inner peace is one of the most treasured outcomes of Stoic practice. Amid the chaos of modern life, solitude becomes a refuge where serenity can be restored. It offers a quiet space to reflect on how to remain calm during adversity and to recharge emotionally. Solitude as a school of self-discipline. The Stoics understood that self-discipline is essential for cultivating virtue and balance. Solitude provides the environment to practice discipline in small ways, resisting distractions, embracing simplicity, and focusing on what truly matters. These small acts build strength for greater challenges, self-reflection, and continuous improvement. Solitude is fertile ground for reflection and personal growth. Alone, we can review our past actions, identify areas for improvement, and set intentions to become more ethical, balanced individuals. It supports a lifelong commitment to self-development. As we navigate modern life, these Stoic teachings remain profoundly relevant. By intentionally creating moments of solitude through meditation, nature, reflective reading, or honest self-dialogue, we cultivate self-sufficiency, emotional clarity, wise decision-making, and above all, virtue and inner peace. Remember, solitude is not isolation. It is a powerful ally in your journey toward becoming the best version of yourself. Thank you for sharing this philosophical journey. If this reflection resonated with you, leave a like, subscribe for more content, and share your thoughts in the comments. Until next time, may solitude guide you toward wisdom, strength, and tranquility.